Hello everybody and welcome to my presentation on anabolic steroids and how they have a psychological effect on people. The presentation will first discuss steroids in general, then the negative effects it has on the human mind like roid rage, psychosis, depression, etc., and then the positive effects it has on the mind, and also conclusion. Did you know that over 1 million Americans have used steroids at one point or another for personal use in the last 10 years? Steroids do not only have a physical effect on the body, but they can have a huge psychological effect if not careful. The use of anabolic steroids affects the psychological side of the body just as much as the physical side. The positive and negative impacts this has on the body will be discussed in this presentation. Most people relate anabolic steroids to bodybuilders or someone who is trying to increase their ability towards a sport by cheating. There have been many cases where athletes have been caught out using illegal steroids in sports such as Lance Armstrong, Shawn Merriman, Ben Johnson, plus many more. It is evident that anabolic steroids are well and truly involved in professional sport. The reasoning to why it cannot be stopped is because it is so hard to police, and anybody in a professional sport could possibly have been on anabolic steroids at some point in time. Therefore, the psychological effect of steroids could definitely influence an athlete's performance. Steroids are not like illicit drugs, where they affect you mentally, ultimately causing a massive addiction, but taking them for long periods of time can cause a reliance on them. The most known psychological effect of steroids is roid rage. Roid rage has been described as someone losing control of their anger management and causing havoc due to steroids. It has put a label on steroid users as being very aggressive and having a meathead attitude. Although this may be the case, there are plenty of steroid users that display none of these actions. Moving on to another psychological side effect from steroids known as psychosis. Psychosis is a break from reality and very much the same as roid rage, but is a lot more self-imposed. The steroid user doesn't feel connected with the real world and is instead living and thinking in his or her own world. In this reality, they are all-powerful, invincible, and capable of anything. It is in the psychosis state that the violence associated with roid rage comes into play. When the power or strength of the steroid user is challenged, they will do whatever they can to defend their honor. The steroid user may not even understand or know what he or she is doing. Moving on to depression and how it plays a role in affecting steroid users. Depression is a common side effect and can be so severe that it even leads to suicide. Steroid users often use other drugs to combat the many side effects that accompany the use of steroids. Like depression, insomnia is a common side effect, so the steroid user may abuse sleeping pills. Knowing that he or she is abusing a drug can then lead to depression, which can just deepen the cycle of drug abuse. There have been documented suicides which have been led to believe that steroids have been the cause. There has been no evidence of positive psychological effects from steroids except for confidence boosts. A person may get a kick out of injecting steroids and physical effects they gain from taking the drug, but that is the only known positive effect. There is no real positive effect steroids have on the mind, as people do not take them for that reason. There is a very grey area around steroids and the psychological effect it has on the human mind. This is why people do not see it as a dangerous psychological drug, but just a drug that affects you physically. As you can see in this presentation, that is not the case, and can affect anyone who is abused to it. Thank you for listening.